Welcome back. Still telling the story of Osuji and Smith Lawyers. With a passion to solving the challenges and complexities of immigration processes, Osuji and Smith, renowned as Canada's largest black-owned law firm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, proudly announces on February 5th, 2024, the acquisition of the assets of Fisher Law and the recruitment of Fisher Law Services and team to build Osuji and Smith new immigration division. Fisher Law is an award-winning law firm known for its robust immigration legal services. The acquisition marks a significant step in both the expansion of Osuji and Smith and the expansion of legal support for immigrants. This strategic move culminates in February during the Black History Month celebration, showcasing the significant commitment by Osuji and Smith to providing trustworthy and reliable legal services to those navigating the challenges faced with immigration processes. Still at the Osuji and Smith Law Office, telling the story of Osuji and Smith Lawyers. And then I'm here with an amazing lady, by the name of Rowan Fisher, who, as a result of the initiative between him and Charles, we are meeting today for the celebration. The immigration division that she'll be the one leading that division of the organization. So tell us, what inspired you initially to be an immigration lawyer?
I was actually volunteering in a refugee camp in Greece,
Wow.
in an Afghan refugee camp just outside of Athens. I had been an energy lawyer in a previous life. I then had gone to Saudi Arabia and worked for the central bank and teaching for universities. And I was doing this volunteering. And I stood in the middle of this camp doing this work, and I realized I've got the skills and I've got a ticket that lets me help people. So why don't I come back to being a lawyer and come back and be an immigration lawyer in Canada?
Wow, what an amazing story. From Greece to Saudi, back to Calgary. Wow.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey, absolutely. And it's been inspiring. Returning back to Canada, I was away for almost a decade. And then coming back to Canada and coming back to Calgary and opening an immigration practice. It was inspiring, it was challenging, it was wonderful to help as many people as we could, and I love the work.
So, February 1st this year,
Yes.
that was a new addition to Osuji and Smith Law Firm, which is the immigration division. So, I'm an immigrant myself, and from what I read about you, you're also an immigrant as well as Charles. And I think it is good for people to have the knowledge of what to do when it comes to immigration practice. I get calls from my friends, individuals, outside of Canada who are looking for ways to come to Canada, and then many a times they tell me some tales that are very terrible. Painful stories of how they've been swindled, how they promised them heaven on earth, that when you come to Canada, there's a job waiting for you, there's a house waiting for you.
The perfect life.
Perfect life, and then they arrive, or some don't even get to leave.
Yeah, some don't even get here.
They don't get here, and they've paid so much money, and it's been stories of pain and all of that. And what you're doing, what are the solutions and what are the services that people should expect when they come to Osuji and Smith in terms of immigration services?
Well, the challenge anywhere is to know whether or not the person that you're working with is really an immigration professional. Is this someone who has experience? Is this someone who has training? Is this someone who is dedicated to the work that they're doing? Or are they just part of the multi-billion-dollar international immigration industry? And it's a really different perspective. With us here at Osuji and Smith, our job, especially as immigration lawyers, is to help. And help people who are in very difficult situations sometimes, who are having huge challenges coming to Canada or sometimes staying in Canada. So when we're looking at people from coming all over the world, we often have people who come to our offices who have spent tens of thousands of dollars to try and get here, and they've had application after application refused, and they don't know why. We can look at those applications, we do an assessment and an analysis of what's happened before, and we can often pinpoint the problems almost right away. So people are paying sometimes for thousands of dollars for people who don't even know how to fill out a simple application. And it's very sad. So part of one of the things that brought Charles and I together was this idea of education and giving people knowledge on how to find the right representatives, what questions to ask, and also let people know where the resources are. There's lots of really good resources online now for some general immigration information that is not a Facebook thread, that is not the cousin saying, this happened to me. And that's one of the big problems as well. We've got all of these sort of scams that are going on, but we also have a lot of lack of knowledge and a lot of misinformation that's circulating. So we are trying to combat that. We work with our clients to help them to come to Canada and find the best route, or to stay in Canada if they're having status issue problems.
Amazing.
But then we also do a lot of education. We do a lot of public presentations in all kinds of languages all across Alberta and Canada.
Just to spread the knowledge.
Just to spread the knowledge, right? How do you find a reliable representative? And then where can you find information yourself? And it is available, and the government does publish a lot of really good information, just people don't know where to find it. So we try to approach our work from lots of different angles.
Amazing. You said knowledge is power, and that is what you're providing here. One question I have is, and I know some of the audiences will have that question: how cheap, how expensive, is it affordable?
Yes. So lawyers are not cheap, right? That is just a fact of the existence of lawyering. But there is a really different way of charging, which is a flat fee model. So what we do is we do consultation to start. So a really general consultation to find out if we can help. Is this an immigration matter? What general information can we provide someone to kind of set them on the right course and get a scope of like what the work might do if we were going to do it. Then we break that apart into a next section, which is like an immigration strategy retainer. This is a small retainer. This is just maybe 2 hours, 3 hours of work for us to deep dive into someone's problem, figure out what's going on, look at federal case law, look on IRCC changes and policies and procedures that happen all the time. Canvas ourselves and our knowledge and try and put together a really good immigration strategy for someone. So you pay, a few $100s to be able to have the first insight, the first connection, a general understanding of where you could go next. Then you might spend $1,000, a few $1,000s just getting the what needs to happen. What are the next steps? Then, if you choose to retain us to do the work, we can then do the file work or the bulk of the application work for you on another retainer. So it's broken into bite-sized chunks, and you don't have to spend $50,000 to get what you don't know, right? You know exactly what's happening at every stage of your application. You know exactly what's happening at every stage of the retainer, and it makes it more manageable, and it means people can really understand and pay reasonable money for really, really great experience.
Amazing. You know what I'm hearing? Value for money. Value for money.
It's really important for us.
It is more expensive to be swindled than getting the right quality knowledge and paying for the knowledge.
The first time.
Yes.
Right? Because that's the thing. These clients come to us and they've already had representation. They might have had representation for years and spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and they're still not either in Canada or they're not able to stay. And so we want to, someone said sometimes I'm working myself out of a job because I'm always educating people, and giving them the right information so that they don't spend the wrong money. I don't want to take someone's money just because they're giving me money. I want to earn my keep because we do a really good job at the immigration team here.
Amazing. I think we need this kind of organization providing these kind of services in this community to guide against all forms of fraudstart or fraudulent activities, so we can reduce those challenges that immigrants are facing. Because trust me, I've seen a lot of that, and I know, the challenges, the pain they go through.
It's awful. It is just awful. When my mother arrived in Canada, she had me and my brother, 2 little kids. She was on her own. And we had a removal order lodged against our family because we didn't have enough establishment in Canada. My mom had only been an international student.
Wow.
And she wanted to stay in Canada and she wanted to bring us up in Canada. And so she had to fight, and she didn't have money for a lawyer. It was very, very expensive. And at the time, a lot of people were charging these big bulk fees instead of breaking it up into manageable chunks for people. And so she had to get help from all kinds of sources, and she got MPs involved. And then when I was 8 years old, I became a Canadian citizen because my mom fought. but it was very hard for her to get support. And so at Osuji and Smith, we want to make sure that we can support people through their immigration process, as well as be their lawyers and do the bulk of that work for them.
Amazing. So what are we doing today?
Today is a celebration. It's an acknowledgement of two great firms coming together to build something really, really special.
The acquisition of Facial Law was formalized on February 1st, 2024, establishing Osuji and Smith desire to create a new immigration division at Osuji and Smith, with Fisher as the managing lawyer of the division. With this acquisition, Osuji and Smith boast of delivering legal services in more than 25 major languages, including Igbo, French, Edo, English, Urdu, Punjabi, Orobo, Itsekiri, Italian, South Korean, Tui, Iwi, Japanese, Arabic, Spanish, Hindi, Yoruba, Pashto, Polish, Romanian, Russian, and Ukrainian. That is amazing. Today, the firm has organized a networking event to bring community stakeholders together and introduce the new immigration division of the firm, where I'll get to speak with some of the guests attending and other key personnel of the organization. The celebration has started, but I just want to ask some of the audiences, members of the audience, some questions, like I promised while I was doing this video. Hi, how are you?
Hi.
What's the
Nice
name?
to meet you. Angela Casero.
Angela Soro.
Yeah.
So you're here as part of the guests for this event, and then what is your first impression about the Osuji and Smith Lawyers?
I know they do a lot of good work within the community, but I'm also really impressed just talking to some of the lawyers who are here right now, who are sharing some of the areas of practice that they are practicing. And it's really important work that they're doing in the community. And also noticing the diversity of the team, which is really exciting to see, and exciting to see that they're so established in their careers and where they need to be to help the people of Alberta.
Still here at the celebration, where Osuji and Smith are introducing the immigration division to the community. And I'm here with an immigration expert, the CEO of KSA Immigration. How are you, Kasim?
Pretty good, I'm fine.
Thank you very much for making this event, and being an immigrant yourself and an immigration consultant. A lot of you dealt with a lot of students, professionals, students, across different part of the world, looking for ways to come into Canada in a legal way, and there's still a lot of bottlenecks, challenges. We heard stories of those who have been swindled, by someone promising them, "Oh, I can get you admission," and then they arrive in Canada, and it was like, "Whoa, it was just a training." So, what do you think are some of the solutions, or what can the government, whether provincial level or federal level, can do to make immigration processes more simpler for those who want to come in here genuinely?
Okay, I think the government of Canada, they've tried to some extent, but there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
In the sense that they need to revamp their website so that it's going to be easy for people to access, to do it by themselves. They actually preach that you can do application yourself, but in depth, when you go to the website, people
So that's
still struggle
easy to navigate.
Yes, in terms of navigation, so they can make that to be simpler for people that can't afford to pay immigration consultants or a legal practice to handle the application. They can do it by themselves.
Yeah.
So that is one measure they could take. Although they promise they're going to improve on those things, but we've not seen so much happening right now. So that's one. Then the area I think they've not done major work is curbing unauthorized practitioner.
Yeah.
So unauthorized practitioner are otherwise called ghost consultants or ghost agents. So these are people that promise public out there, oh, we can bring you to Canada, just pay us all the money. Promising them, giving them assurance that they can bring them to Canada. But the truth is that that is not the case. The government of Canada have not done so much to clamp down on them. So we still have a long way to go in that area. So we've seen a lot of cases, like recent one that make it to the news is 700 Indian nationals were admitted to study in Canada with fake or fraudulent admission letter.
Wow.
700, that's a big number.
Yeah, that's huge.
So what made that happen? That means, is there no control at the level of the immigration to vet those documents those guys came in with in the first place? So they need to do more on clamping down on unauthorized practitioner, otherwise
Those
called
who are not
ghost,
certified, yeah.
ghost agent. They are not satisfied. They are not certified, and they don't know anything about immigration, other than just to promise people what is not happening. Also, that also takes us to the case of temporary foreign worker. Like those guys promise them to come into Canada, and they get into Canada, they don't have work to do.
Wow.
So it means the government needs to also work in the area of the labor market impact assessment. So that area needs to be looked into and ensure that the public are protected from unauthorized or unethical practitioners. So because you have some people, they are licensed, but yet they still behave unethically. So we have instances of cases where some practitioner will promise people, legal practitioner or those that are licensed, promise public out there, oh, pay me X amount of dollar, I can get a job in Canada. So that should not be happening, because the public or an individual out there, they suffer to get these funds together, and now they swindle. Exactly, that doesn't make sense. So government needs to do more to ensure that the process is secured for individuals out there, and everybody can be happy with the entire process.
Amazing, amazing. I've got one question for you before I let you go. What do you think? Do you know Charles or Rowan, and what do you think about the work they and their teams are doing?
Oh my goodness! At least I think I met Rowan like 3 years ago. So the first time it was just a chat on the phone. Oh, Rowan, let's jump on live show together. So we had a live show together, and it was amazing. So particularly one center point about Rowan is this: she has really helped the community, particularly supporting the Ukraine that is going through war right now. Rowan has helped a lot of immigrants from that corner of the world to relocate to Canada. And I give that to her. She's been so supportive in the industry. She's a strong leader in the industry. I give that to Rowan. So it's amazing what she's doing. Then come to Charles Osuji. Oh, we've been friends for quite a longer time as well. So I've been hearing of, who is this Charles? Who is this Charles? Always hearing Charles. Okay, one day we're going to meet. So coincidentally, we meet 2 years ago. We met 2 years ago rather, and it was amazing moment. Charles has really done well for the law practice in Calgary, in Alberta, and in the entire Canada. So today we are seeing a landmark revolution in terms of legal practice by these two guys, Rowan and Charles. They've been doing amazingly well. To be honest, I practice in the industry as well, but I look up to them and say, wow, I wish I can be like them one of these days. But I give it to both of them. They've been doing well to help immigrants, to help businesses, and to support people that has legal challenges in Alberta and across Canada. So amazingly, they've been doing a great job.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
We'll be right back. Still here at the Osuji and Smith law firm, still celebrating the new, immigration division. And I've got an amazing, beautiful woman here who's going to be talking and testifying to the good works of Charles Osuji and Rowan Fisher. How are you?
I'm very well, sir.
What's
Thank
your name?
you. My name's Sarah.
Where do you work? What do you do?
I'm a lawyer. I work at Brownlee.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So you're here today to celebrate with Rowan and Charles, and I've got a question for you.
Okay.
Basically, Here goes the question. As the Osuji and Smith Lawyers are Rowan and the Immigration Division supported you, your team, and your organization in any way?
Absolutely. Rowan Fisher was one of my very first friends who I met when I arrived in Calgary in 2018. She had just returned from working abroad, and I just arrived here and I knew nobody. And we were put in touch through her sister-in-law, and she welcomed me into her home, into a friendship circle, into her family. She's answered all my ridiculous immigration questions. We arrived here from England in 2018. She's just been a foundational part of my life here in Calgary since I very first arrived, and I don't think I could have managed without her. And I think this firm is going to be absolutely bolstered by her being here. Yeah, not only her legal expertise but her personality as well. She's just one of the most welcoming, wonderful people I've ever met.
Amazing, amazing. Still on my city speaks to me here at the Osuji and Smith Law Firm, and I'm here with an amazing brother and a friend. Now, this is a man and a brother that has been very supportive in the community. You know, he always shows up.
Thank you.
He's always there for people, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Let our audience know you introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Dennis. I'm a community builder. I'm a connector. I say I'm also an explorer, but my role basically in community is just to serve and help people find their paths in our society.
Amazing.
That's what I do. I create happiness.
Amazing happiness. I mean, I love that. Now you're here, to celebrate with Charles and Rowan.
Yeah.
Tell us, your relationship with this firm, the partners, the lawyers. How.
Yeah.
Just tell our audience a bit about your interaction or relationship with the law firm.
So it's interesting because when I moved to Calgary, like after a year I moved to Calgary, that's when I met Charles. And it's interesting, the first time I met him as a lawyer, he was a very open guy. The guy was like, oh my God, anything you need, let me know. And I was like, oh, who's this lawyer? So he gave me open hands, and I, it's one of those things like, okay, let me try. And actually I tried it, and they were just awesome. They were great people. Same thing with Rowan, we just met at the point and we just got off. What I love about them is humility. What I love about them is that wanting to support community. It's just like when you walk into this law firm, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting, you go to other law firms, other places, it feels so like uptight, but when you come in here, it feels like family, it feels like community, you're welcome. It's like I was telling someone today that you're welcome the way you are.
Yeah.
You can see everybody smiling, everybody happy, you feel part of community. I think for me, that is what I like about Rowan and Charles. And you can see that being exemplified here today.
Amazing. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
So how do legal services like those provided by Osuji and Smith Lawyers help people in our communities?
It's interesting because they give you a perspective. They give you a perspective that you understand. They come from the point where you understand. They understand what you're going through. They understand your challenges. They understand what it means to be part of the community.
Yeah.
So basically, the service they provide, sometimes it's like it's really fit for purpose because people understand. The best thing is like they understand you. They know where you're coming from. So sometimes you don't have to explain so many things for them to understand you. They understand where you're coming from. They've been through the same things, the things you've been through as well. Yeah. So when you speak, they have that empathy. They have that, they want to assist you, they want to help you because they've been through it. They've been through that experience. And so you going through that experience, they can empathize with you and walk you through it. Whereby in certain places, people don't have that experience.
Like they go by book knowledge.
They're just like, book knowledge, like this is the way it is done, that is not the way it's done. They will go down to earth and explain it for you so that you understand. When you live here, like this guy's got my back, right? Because they know where I am coming from. They have like all the cultural sensitivities, all of that, which sometimes some people might not find. So
in community, you having them in community helps a great lot because of they can speak to the community. People understand them, and they understand the community. There's that free flowing, that communication. I think so. That's why what they do is very important. It opens up legal services for lots of people too. Many people, when they in certain situations whereby they're like, that person doesn't understand what I'm going through, right? But when you come with the work they do, it opens up people to want to say what they are going through, because of they understand that person has got their back. It builds trust. Lots of people can come out to say, hey, I trust those people because I know whatever they're doing is going to work for us. So that is why I think that all the what they offer in community is just amazing. And again, I also if you walk out there, you can see the energy of people. This is not normally what you will see in a law firm. You can see that whole combination of trust, of love, of people like, hey, I believe what you're doing.
In other words, they speak the language of the community.
100%. So that is what it is.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you so
brother.
much.
Thank you.
Still on My City Speaks to Me here, celebrating with Osuji and Smith Lawyers, where they're introducing the immigration division to the community. Now it's time for me to go party. Got some food in my stomach because I'm hungry. Like I do on this show, don't move a muscle, stretch, spread back. Still on My City Speaks to Me here at the Osuji and Smith Law Firm, where we are celebrating the introduction of the immigration division. And I've been talking to a lot of amazing guests, and the staff of Osuji and Smith, and you can all testify that it's been like beautiful kind of family-oriented organization. And I've got a beautiful lady here with me, she needs an introduction when she walks in the crowd because you will notice her. But I'll allow her to introduce herself to you. How are you?
I'm good.
Let our audience know who you are.
Oh, my name is Eva Boka. I'm the founder of Immigrant Champions of Canada.
Amazing. So you're here today, to celebrate with Charles Osuji and Ruben Fisher, and what can you say about the firm, first of all? Charles or Ruben or the firm?
Osuji and Smith for me is that piece of admiration in the Black community, because Charles came out and did what perhaps many would not have thought possible for Black people to do.
Yeah.
I personally, when I was doing my justice degree, I did my practicum with Charles. I worked under Charles.
Wow.
I'm now in law school and I'm planning to be an immigration or employment lawyer. But all that inspiration came from Charles. I saw what he was doing, how he was working with his clients, the tender care, and having just a place as a Black woman that I could knock into and say, hey, I'm looking for practicum, and I was invited to do that. That made quite a big difference for me, and I believe it's going to continue to make a big difference for other people who are looking for the same.
Amazing. So I've got some questions that I will need your expertise, opinion, so that our audience can get more education. Because the show is not about just giving them happenings, but about giving them information on happenings, in this community. So the first question is, how does immigration impact or intersect with your industry work?
So like I said, I'm the founder of Immigrant Champions of Canada. So what we do at ICC is pretty much helping newcomers with career services and settlement services. And so my work exists because we have many immigrants coming in, and they do need a lot of support. They do need a lot of guidance on where to find resources, where to find, some are looking for practicants, some are looking for career services, some are looking for where do I buy even African food. So our organization is that kind of a spot where they can come in and get direction that, if you're looking for a new doctor, this is the procedure. If you need a SIN number, this is where you go. If you need to register for a bus pass or buy a bus pass, this is where you go, and all that. So
yeah, amazing. That is just to create an opportunity for immigrants to settle in a very smooth way.
Definitely.
Amazing. Now, what are some of the challenges immigrants face? There's so many, but can just touch on some points.
I want to touch on career.
Okay.
One of the challenges is credential recognition. Majority of our immigrants are coming, let's say the ones coming from Africa. You have a lawyer coming from Africa, they've already studied in Africa. Sometimes they are, most times their credentials are not recognized here. So they have to go back to school, to University of Calgary or University of Alberta, go through the process, even if it's not intense, it still costs a lot of money, and that can be challenging. And that is one thing that for me in my work, I hope that we can be able to influence policy change within the government level, so that legal studies, because we practice common law in Canada, and most of the law that is practiced in Africa is also common law because it's originated from...
There should be some similarities.
There's actually, everything is quite similar, unless when you're talking about statutes in Alberta or even federal statutes. But other than that, most of the things are very common. So there needs to be that synergy where the government can say how much is more, and how can we stop requiring more to let our lawyers who are coming in here to help with filling the gap of no employment to actually be able to practice at a reasonable time. Yeah,
beyond lawyers, there are other professionals as well.
Yes, and also
like
there's doctors and
know.
engineers. It's even more complicated. I know of
You're a school teacher.
Yes, doctors that I've worked with in our career services, they even went back to school, and so they go back to school, but then when they want to go and find residency, they don't have anybody to give them residency. Like, you need to find a hospital where you can practice. And that's why I love what Charles did with Foot in the Door initiative. It kind of brings the lawyers in and kind of creates that opportunity that if there is nobody there who can help you with your articling, we are here to help. And that's beautiful. So the hope is that in the future we can build a similar program for medical doctors, engineers, teachers, or even just influence policy change at provincial level and federal level, so that we don't have these barriers. Credential is a barrier because most of the people who are coming from Africa, they are highly educated. The level of education in Africa is so high, even compared to Canada. So we need, if I'm looking at it from even a lens of discrimination or systemic barriers, these are things that we need to take out of the way for us to be able to create an opportunity for immigrants to thrive. When I started my program, my organization, I had seen so many immigrants who were more educated, but they were all surviving. And my dream, our dream at Immigrant Champions of Canada is that we can connect these immigrants to thriving lives. It's possible. But we also need the part of the government to come in and make some
soft
changes.
pedal on the policies.
Yes, policies is a big thing. Policies is a big thing.
I feel that. So the next questions before we round up is, how does immigration impact Calgary? I think that's what we're actually talking about, because when you have a pool of immigrants coming in with professional backgrounds, like I was talking to a lawyer with another firm who this earlier today. She's practiced 15 years in England. And she came here. She has to go back to school. Now she's a junior lawyer with just 1 year experience. She said at times she feels like, wow. She feels like I'm like starting out of again.
Oh yeah.
You know, you've been practicing for 15 years in the United Kingdom,
Yeah.
and now you come to Canada.
Yeah.
You have to go back to school and start just 1 year. And she said she's a junior lawyer in our firm.
So I like that the question is, how does immigration
Yes.
impact Calgary? If we
Yes.
were just to focus on that story alone,
Yeah.
you know, when you go through education, you become a professional and you're good at your work, and then you land somewhere and you're now seen as you have to start over again, we have to think about the mental effect that has
That was the
on people.
word she used.
Yes. People get depressed. I meet many immigrants who are very depressed, not because of their own choice, but because of what this system has laid as a foundation for them. When I come to you and you used to be a doctor in your country, and then you have to go and work at UPS, not that there's a problem with working at UPS. I have taken your life purpose from you. I've taken your dignity.
Yeah.
I've taken something that makes you wake up every day, and I've now presented you with an opportunity for depression, for mental wellness challenges. So how is that impacting our city right now? We know the statistics right now when it comes to mental wellness.
Yeah.
We have a big population of people who are mentally ill. And then if you look at the positive part, the reason why the government or any other stakeholders who are responsible for this need to make changes is that the immigrants who come here, they are needed here. Canada as a country do not have a population to match its size.
Yeah.
We are now sitting at a point where we're saying that by 2025, 2028, when all the baby boomers have retired,
Yeah.
Canada is not ready. Canada does not have a workforce ready to sustain it to the future.
Next level.
So if you look at that from a socio-economic perspective, you're looking at a country that is likely to die because it doesn't have workers.
So this gap.
There's
has
a
been
gap.
created.
And the immigrants are coming in and they're filling that gap. So if they're coming in to fill the gap, I think the government needs to meet the immigrants at halfway and not just be strict on their rules, but think about the fact that they're coming here to help you continue being a nation.
Because they're coming with a lot of experience, with accumulated experience, learned experience, all sort of wealth of experience they're bringing in. And then I remember my story. I'm an artist, but I do a lot of things that has to do with culture, events, and community influencing. And I train as an artist at university in Nigeria. I paint, I do graphics. So I was looking for a job and they asked me Canadian experience as an artist.
Canadian experience?
I paint. I use the same oil paints in Nigeria.
The same canvas?
The same canvas, the same brush.
You hang it on the same wall?
And I paint. And you're asking Canadian experience to be a painter. It's like you're asking a musician who sings R&B in Nigeria that you need a Canadian experience to know how to sing R&B in Canada. So that's where it's, and of course I turned off. I couldn't even get any job because the question is where do I get an experience to be a painter?
But
Because I paint.
Think about it, like knowing the person you are in the black community and beyond. You're like the face of Calgary's art.
Well, I'm not a face, you're one of them.
Knowing who you are. Yeah,
Osuji
you're
is
one of them. Yes.
Yeah.
Being that face of, success. Can you imagine what the people who said no to you truly missed?
I still see
They
some of them
missed a lot. They missed a lot, and employers need to realize this. When you tell somebody no, even if your reasoning is discrimination or whatever the case, it's not them who are missing. You're missing too.
Because you are missing the opportunity that could have been unleashed to move the organization forward. Man, amazing conversation. I think we're going to take up this conversation sometimes again on a different show that I called Global Talkative Series. But for the purpose of today's celebration, I want to thank Eve, for this sit-down talk. It's been very expository, and I want to thank Charles Osuji, for the Food in the Door initiative, making impact. And I'm hoping that someone somewhere who is a business owner in the medical field, in the engineering field, in different fields of endeavor, can actually create an initiative that can open the platform for immigrants in different kind of fields of practice.
Or better still, the government can just take out all these roadblocks and
just
everybody
allow
can
everything.
just.
And I think
people to
that will
work.
actually, skyrocket the development of the community
Oh, yeah.
in this city.
Yeah, we should not be focused on patching things that don't work, but go to the root cause and uproot what
And
doesn't
then
work.
we change it.
Yeah.
We mold it, change things.
Thank you very much,
for
Landry.
this. Thank you for hanging out with me on this episode of My City Speaks to Me, telling the story of Osuji and Smith Lawyers. As always, I invite you to leave a comment on my page to know that you stopped by, and support my work by subscribing to my channel if you have not done so, and share this video in your socials. And until I come your way again with more exciting episodes from around my beautiful city of Calgary in Alberta, Canada, like I do it on this show, don't move a muscle, stretch. See you around. Bye for now.